fucking... Don't get used to these fucking like 9-hour streams we've been doing, okay? It's not normal. Fuck. Alright, who's dying today? We're in the fucking meat and potatoes of the chapter. Someone definitely dying today. I really think Shion's gonna get killed. But then part of me also thinks there's no way the Sonozakis would kill one of their own. But... Alright, here we go. Tips? What tips were they yesterday? Were there any interesting ones? Late night phone call. Didn't we do this? We already did this. You didn't read the scrapbooks? Alright, fine. Let's read the scrapbooks. The significance of Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. Wait. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of disparity between being both an egregious act and a form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Watanagashi village felt fear towards this ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit. But it said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This is an extremely curious tale. Until now, I thought that the residents of Watanagashi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like fish, and by eating them, they reaffirmed their own holiness. At least that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not fascination, but fear, then that would suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's a possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow the religious precepts created by those with power for their own convenience. Watanagashi village has been effectively ruled over by 3 old families called the Three Families. Without investigating the 3 families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Watanagashi village. Okay. Ryukishi is coming back to this AX this year, creator of Higurashi. Oh, really? That's pretty cool. Is he doing a panel? three families. The three families refer to the three old families who effectively came to rule Onigafuchi village. To break it down, there was a Kimiyoshi family, that's the one we just heard from, the Furude family, that's Rika's family, and the Sonozaki family. And each of them still exists today. Though they don't have as much control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. The three families are considered by legend to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons runs the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the three families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Kichiro Kimiyoshi, is from this family. The fact that members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayors every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Of course, as no rival candidates appear, it doesn't change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office even through popular election in the post-war era. The Furude family, the center of the village's faith since ancient times, the Furude family has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power. It now consists of only the main house. The main house as well presently consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage may end in this generation. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. The Sonozaki family. It's said that this family had a certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onigafuchi village. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from me putting them here last. Of course, today the Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the three families is completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. The three families conferring with each other is similar to the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Oryu, essentially decides all of the going-ons in the village by herself. Okay. So the Sonozakis are fucking Uchiha, huh? We gotta kill them all. Time to find Itachi. Maybe Shion is the Itachi that we need. Alright, here we go. So we just saw that the mayor is missing. There was no way I'd be able to sleep. When she hung up the phone like that, I realized for the first time what kind of situation I was in, as well as who the only ally who would support me was. I waited with bated breath for Shion to calm down and call me back. What would I do if the phone rang while I was sound asleep? No matter how long I waited, however, it never rang. Exhausted, whenever my mind started to wander, I would jolt awake as though I heard the phone ring. In the end, I brought the cordless phone with me into my futon and went to sleep with it in my arms. Though it still didn't amount to anything. Morning came, and by that time, I was pretty sure she wasn't calling back. That was when a fierce drowsiness assailed me. I slapped myself in the face a few times. Then I went to the washroom and washed my face, which was something I usually didn't do. That wasn't enough either, so I even brushed my teeth. After that, I was finally wide awake. When Mom saw how strange I was acting, her eyes went wide.
どうしたの、ケイイチ。今日はどこかにお出かけでもするの？
うん。学校に。
ケイイチくん、なんだか今日も調子悪そう。やっぱり風邪かな？
風邪じゃなくて寝不足なんだ。寝ぼけてわけのわかんないことを言い出したらフォローよろしくな。
ケイイチくん、寝ぼけたらどんなこと喋り出すのかなちょっと楽しみかも。はう。
That howl wasn't very deep, bro. That was a shallow howl. I felt utterly shattered, and I still hadn't picked myself back up this morning, and for precisely that reason, Rena's honest smile was a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
ケイちゃんにレナ。おはよう。あれれ？みーちゃんもなんだか寝不足な感じだよ。
Mion had gone home early yesterday with a hangover, but she didn't look too good this morning either. Her usual cheerfulness was completely buried in shadow.
うん。寝たの3時ぐらいだからね。眠い。
3時？昨日に続いてか？おいおい、夜更かしにも限度ってもんがあるぞ。大方漫画の単行本が面白くなっちゃって一巻から読破してしまったんだろ。
Keiichi, stop talking to her like that. You lied to her multiple times. She doesn't like you anymore.
俺にも経験があるぞ。
I joked, trying to shake off my sleepiness. I was trying to be considerate. However, neither Mion nor Rena smiled. In fact, they didn't even pay attention. Ooh, Rena's expression immediately darkened.
あれ、ひょっとして村長さんのこと？まだ見つかってないの？
うん。
おい、ちょっと待ってくれ。村長さんが見つかってないって何の話だ？
Even a classroom which was normally bustling, but bursting with bright, joking voices, seemed filled with a different sort of murmur today.
おはようございます、ケイイチさん。聞きました？なんだか大変なことになりましたわね。
俺はその村長さんって人をよく知らないんだが、じじボケて徘徊してるだけじゃないのか？
村長さんはボケてなんかいませんですわ。お習字も教えるし、剣道も教える、はつらつな方でございますの。僕と同じで、きっとどこかで迷子なのですよ。迷子いいね。はう、お持ち帰り。
Shut up, Rena! Getting lost is only cute because children like Rika can do it. A worn-out old man getting lost isn't moe in the slightest. While my mind entertained dumb thoughts like that, our teacher arrived. Everyone rushed to their seats.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Good morning. The class greeting was normal, but the atmosphere in the room was heavy.
すでに聞いている方もいるかもしれませんが、昨日の夜、村長さんが夜遅くになってもお家に帰ってこなかったのだそうです。
That still means one more person can disappear.
皆さんの中で昨日村長さんを見た人はいますか？
One or two hands went up in silence, and they told her about having seen him. None of it seemed to be vital information, however, and everyone began whispering amongst
も
themselves.
しも村長さんを見かけた人は大人の人に教えてあげてくださいね。それでは授業を始めます。
After that, the same old lessons began. The rumors, once quieted, blossomed in flowers again at lunchtime. I could hear a few different conversations. They were mostly related to the mayor's disappearance. Summing them all up, I came out with this. Yesterday evening, the mayor went to a meeting at the shrine's assembly hall. The meeting ended after the sun had fully set and everyone left. The elder's house was a bit far from the center of Hinamizawa. It was already late and Hinamizawa doesn't have a lot of lights outside. Nobody saw the mayor after the meeting. However, because he would have been hungry, he wouldn't have taken any side trips. He would have gone straight home. However, no matter how long his family waited, he never returned. Some thought there might have been an accident. They left no stone unturned. They searched from the irrigation channels to the water wells and even to the rice paddies, but they didn't find him. Of course, there was a limit to how far they could search in the middle of the night. The police were going to wait for daylight, then have the young men of the town help search. If after all they still didn't find him, they were apparently even going to go looking in the mountains. Even now, at this moment, the adults were probably all searching for him. The moment they searched in vain, and the more time passed, the only thing that came to mind was the curse. Rumor of Onikakushi, or of the demoning away. Had he become this year's sacrifice to Oe Shirosama's curse, which had recently been occurring every year? That scary possibility, which everybody thought about, but nobody could say aloud, was slowly but surely spreading throughout the village. Was he demoned away and offered as a sacrifice to quell Oe Shirosama's anger? My classmates were whispering to each other that the curse didn't happen this year, so there shouldn't have been any sacrifices. I, on the other hand, I knew The curse did happen again this year, and there were 2 people that died. This may sound strange, but I hadn't exactly thought the elder would be the one to go missing. My reason was clear. Shion and I should have been the higher priority than him. 4 of us were thieves that broke the taboo and set foot into the sacred ritual storehouse. Toмотaka-san and Takano-san had suffered mysterious death. Then it should have been my and Shion's turn next.
今度こそ俺かシオンの番なのにな。
Shut the fuck up, Keiichi. Why are you saying this out loud? I laughed painfully to myself. I'd yell at Shion over the phone that I didn't want to end up in such a terrifying situation, but now, as someone other than me had disappeared, I could only think that I should have been the first to go. Onikafuchi, the bottomless swamp, said to have been the place where they drowned sacrifices long ago. Just as it ran through my mind, the villagers must have also considered the swamp. Maybe police divers were plumbing its depths even now. They probably wouldn't find anyone. Not a single missing person had ever been found. They'd also suspected Onikafuchi, but not once have they ever turned up a corpse from it. After all, it was a devilish, bottomless swamp from which no one who sinks can ever return. I could hear someone telling their friend that in the classroom.
そういえば、サトシさんがいなくなったのも去年の今頃だったね。
Oh shit. Huh? Satoshi? I've heard that name before. He was... Right, he disappeared because of the last year's curse. The conversation was happening in the seat next to me, so I could hear it
サトシさん
clearly.
の時も確かこんな風に村中で探したんじゃなかったっけ？
あれも見つからなかったんだよね。あれって結局どうなったんだっけ？確か鬼隠しじゃなかったんだよね。
Aw, shit.
うん。貯金を全部下ろして家出しちゃったんだって聞いたよ。警察の人が名古屋駅で新幹線に乗るところを見た人がいるとか言ってたもん。
Bullshit! Ran away, huh? I wasn't that interested in the reason which seemed understandable in this case. Everyone else who disappeared had their own reasons too. Either they were still on the run because they were criminals, or they were a corpse that couldn't be found. It's not like any of them suddenly disappeared into thin air for no reason. But they disappeared. Someone disappeared whenever the curse took a life, as if by design. They may have had various understandable reasons, but they still disappeared. From that point of view, it really might have been a demoning away this time. The mayor's disappearance was the first such incident without a clear reason behind it. Of course, coming to that realization didn't help to resolve anything.
今日は味の加減を間違えちゃったみたいだね。ごめん。
Normally, Rena's lunch would have been devoured immediately, but today there was still a ton left. That wasn't because Rena's lunch didn't taste good or anything, though.
そんなことありませんのよ。レナさんのお弁当は今日もとっても美味でしたよ。
Satoko dips her chopsticks into Rena's bento box and pulls bits of food out one after the other.
おいしいおいしい。今日も格別でしたよ。あれ、それかぼちゃのコロッケだよ。大丈夫？レナさんのかぼちゃならとっても美味しいですわ。
Did Satoko dislike pumpkin? Regardless, she forced herself to smile and shoved more into her mouth. Everyone knew. Nobody's lunch tasted very good today. Satoko kept shoveling it down, repeating her remark on how good it was.
そんなにうまいなら俺もいただかないとな。このままじゃ全部サトコに食われちまう。
あんまりにも美味しいので、ぜひケイチさんにも召し上がってほしいですわね。
Yeah, okay, motherfucker.
たまには俺も年上らしい寛大さを見せないとな。よし、遠慮するな。今日は俺の分まで食ってよし。
うわー。
She really hated pumpkin, didn't she? That made it all the more touching to see Satoko's own brand of generosity. I grabbed her head and started stroking it. Satoko, in a somewhat exaggerated fashion, was bawling, her tears streaming down her
嘘
face.
だよ。そんなにうまいものを譲るほど大人にはなれないよ。レナも食え。俺のは夕べのおでんの残り物だが、おでんは一晩経ってからがうまいんだぜ。
お大根が綺麗な色に透き通ってて美味しそう。じゃあいただこうかな。
Rena reached out with her chopsticks, and at last the usual lunchtime atmosphere began to return. That was only at our desks, however. The dark tales of Oyashiro-sama's curse, which had reoccurred for 5 years in a row, didn't cease. The whole classroom remained stuck in this somber mood. Oyashiro-sama's curse had happened for 5 years straight. Everyone had wanted the previous year to be the last. What was Oyashiro-sama's curse anyway? They were going to build a dam in Hinamizawa. The people building it were bad, so they were cursed. I would admit that much. Still, the dam project was frozen years ago, wasn't it? So why was the curse stubbornly persisting? I hit myself on the cheeks to perk myself back up. Everyone was trying so hard to brighten the mood, I couldn't go straight back to thinking about the curse like that. I forced a grim story out of my head. Driving Oyashiro-sama's curse out of my thoughts was actually a good idea. In the end, that meant I would also be driving away the most terrifying thought of all, that I could be the curse's next target.
しかしミオンは遅いな。あいつのお手洗いってこんなに長いのか？
She ain't washing her hands, bro. Riona had said she was going to wash her hands and left, and she hadn't come back yet.
多分どっかでお昼寝してるんだと思う。ゆうべはきっと遅くまで村長さんを探すお手伝いをしてたんだと思うから。
I smiled wryly and let out a sigh. Today was no good. However much we tried to lighten the mood, things always came back to the mayor. It was just a no-good day. I just transferred here recently, so the shock of a curse happening 5 years running was an unimaginably big one. Maybe I do need to appreciate that.
村長さんはね、ちっちゃかった頃、みーちゃんのことをすごく可愛がってくれたんだって。いたずら盛りのみーちゃんをすごく可愛がってくれたって、よく話してたな。
I see. Mion was in shock too. Someone disappearing at all because of a curse was a very scary thing. To sacrifice with someone you knew, though, then the shock must be 100 times worse. Satoko, as if she'd come to the same conclusion, bit her lower lip and looked
そう
downward.
いえばリカちゃんも遅いな。ひょっとしてリカちゃんも仲良くお昼寝か？
リカはそんなに遅くまではお付き合いしませんでしたわ。リカがあくびをしたら皆さんみんなしておやすみなさいませ、おやすみなさいませって。
Now that she mentioned it, there were a lot of old people rubbing their prayer beads in fervent gratitude towards Rika-chan during the festival too. An image of the indulgent elderly came to mind. Had Rika-chan discovered a way to get herself to be pampered like
リカちゃんっ
that?
て何気に年寄りのアイドルだな。理想の孫娘像ってやつなのか？
そんなの知らない。でもリカちゃんのあくびなら見てみたい。きっとね、ふわーってお持ち帰り。そんなに可愛いとも思いませんけど、ふわーって喉の奥まで覗けるくらいの大あくびでしたよ。リカちゃんの大あくび。
That's handy at times like these. I finally managed a heartfelt laugh. All right, I'm on day duty today, aren't I? I need to go water the flower garden. The garden is right outside the teacher's lounge too, so they can immediately tell if you don't do it right.
リカちゃんのだけじゃなく、さとこちゃんのも可愛いと思うわ。おあくび。窒息。ちらっと見えた。可愛いの見えた。さとこちゃんのあくびも可愛い。お持ち帰り。
Rena was strangling Satoko. I don't think that counts as yawning. You know, Rena is... I can't say it out loud, but she's a notorious censored, isn't she? Sweat. What? Hearing Satoko make a weird noise like a chicken being strangled was kind of hilarious, and I couldn't help but laugh. At some point, the classroom had erupted into laughter too. Maybe Rena was doing it on purpose. Even if she wasn't, this nonsense was a welcome sight. Anyway, let's get over to the flowers while I still have time. Oh boy, we're gonna see something or hear something. Slowly and quietly, lest I destroy the room's newfound peace, I left the classroom. The watering can was hanging up outside the kitchen. This building had originally been all-male forestry service building, so there was apparently nothing so thoughtful as a garden here before. When they decided to have a school share the space, they built one there as a modest gesture of appreciation. But well, the flower bed, it was a little longer than you'd expect. It went all around. Went all over the place. It was so big, one would need to refill the watering can 5 or 6 times to get it all done. I was doing this together with a kid who was also thankfully on day duty today. She was in the lowest grade though, and a full size smaller than even Rika. I couldn't make a kid who would struggle just to lift the full watering can help me with this. If you were placed on day duty with someone who liked this sort of thing, they'd do it all for you, so it'd be cake.
悪態をついても仕方ないな。諦めて仕事を始めるか。
Watering can in hand, just as I was about to leave the building, the old man from the forestry office addressed me.
兄ちゃん、倉庫裏に菜園があるだろ。だいぶくたびれかけたぞ。あそこにも水をやってあげな。
ああ、カレー菜園ですか？じゃがいもとか人参とか、カレーの具しか栽培してないっていう。
It's definitely the personal garden of our curry-loving teacher, but making students responsible for its upkeep is getting them involved in her personal affairs. I couldn't say that to his face though, so I gave up and decided to carry out my day duties. Aw, shit. Sunlight out front was strong. The great chorus of cicadas was strongly underlining how nothing was different today than yesterday. Passed by the classroom, I don't know how it happened, but Rena and Satoko were in the middle of a huge melee. While I was gone, the kids had arranged all the desks in a circle, forming a ring while everyone was cheering them on. Yeah, that's how it should be. Once school ended, we would need to return to reality where talk of the elders' disappearance would once again be all over the place. Wanted everyone to forget about everything and have fun just like yesterday, if only while they were at school. In that sense, Satoko's whirling elbow and Rena's backward flying spin kick made for a pleasant sight. Okay, even if, as a result, they flipped over my desk. Ugh, that's my pencil box. Go, I'll just let it happen today. I set to work, hastily watering everything, wanting nothing more than to be done as soon as possible. That should be about it. No sooner I had thought that than I remembered that I had to water the teacher's curry vegetable
めんど
garden
くさい
too.
が、やらないと後でいろいろと不利益なことがありそうな気がする。
I gave up, filled the can with water again, and headed up behind the warehouse. Aw, shit. This was a place students didn't like to go. It was always damp here, and you couldn't discard the possibility of slugs and pill bugs being around. So when I ran across her in a place like that, I was surprised.
リカちゃんか。驚かせるなよ。
Rika-chan was just standing there like a puppet devoid of life. I was the only one who was startled here. Rika-chan didn't even seem to react to my
Rika-chan?
appearance. Finally, she noticed me. Whoa. That's the first time Rika's made a... Her expression was clearly abnormal. She's never made this face before. There was red under her eyes stained with tears and dirt. There were blades of grass stuck in her hair too, and her clothes looked as though she'd fallen to the ground.
リカちゃん、ひょっとして怪我したのか？転んだとか？
違うのですよ。違うのです。
Rika-chan said in the brightest voice she could manage as she rubbed her eyes. Who fucking bullied Rika? She didn't look anywhere near normal
何があ
though.
ったんだ？まさか倉庫の屋根の上で昼寝とかしてて落ちたとか？
僕のことはいいのです。それよりも、圭一に聞きたいことがあるのです。
Oh shit, people need to stop asking Keiichi questions. He can't answer any of them because he's stupid. Oh. Rika-chan walked over and clung to me. Yo, so between chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Higurashi, did the developers figure out what like pulling characters close up was? It's like a new technology they discovered. It's like, oh man, we can like bring characters real close. At first, I thought she was playing a trick on me. Eventually, however, I realized it was so that I wouldn't run from the question she was about to ask. I shuddered.
俺に、なんだよ。
She looked straight into my eyes. Her upturned eyes bored right into me. It was as though they were trying to pull the answer out of my own eyes without actually asking me the question. It was scary, so I averted my eyes from hers.
圭一、お祭りの晩に何か悪いことをしましたか？
Bro, Keiichi, please just answer honestly. Like, if you're honest, there could be forgiveness. You know? That's all I'm saying. Like, just be honest. My body gave a jolt from its very core. Like, bro, it's all a test. They just want to see if you're willing to, like, you know, be honest. Like, so many of Mion gave him a chance. Like, bro, everybody's giving him a chance, and he's just fucking throwing them all out because he's a pussy bitch. Rika-chan, who was clinging to me, might have felt my shiver. A nervous tingle crawled up from my feet, and after going up my back and freezing my entire body, it made its way into my brain.
Keiichi, 本当に覚えはありませんか?
Keiichi, just answer, please. My head began to throb. I don't understand anything. Mion asked me, Oishi-san asked me, Shion asked me, and now Rika-chan was asking me. We thought nobody knew about what we did last night, but in fact everyone knew. They all knew, and they came to ask me again and again until I admitted it. When I thought about it, it was pretty clear the whole thing was out in the open. After all, don't Tomitaka-san and Takano-san's deaths prove it? So just admit it then!
Keiichi?
Like, Rika's like the nicest one. Just admit it. How should I respond? We never should have entered the forbidden storehouse. And even though I regretted it so much, was she saying it wasn't enough? However, I had all but decided what I was going to say. Oh, God, he's gonna lie.
俺もそこが悪いからな。悪いことの覚えが多すぎて見当がつかないよ。
Rika, just stab him. Slit his throat right now. Kill him. End this chapter. Just as I had with all the others, I evaded the question. You pussy! Rika-chan stared up at me with innocent eyes. Her eyes were so painful that I had to look away. After a few moments of mutual silence, Rika-chan released me.
変なことを聞いてごめんなさいなのです。忘れてくださいなのですよ。
She said, smiling her usual smile. Then tap, 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 she went running off as if nothing had happened. Oh my God, Keiichi! She retreated in silence. I could feel her accusing me.
Rika-chan.
She didn't hear my voice, and I was going to give up. However, she heard it. Yes. Just admit it. Rika-chan swiveled around and waited for me to continue. I was the one who had questioned now. Still asking any of them could be just a half-assed way of admitting what I did.
Rika-chan.
はいなのです。
If everyone knows anyway, then I should be able to at least ask this, right? Why is everyone asking me about the night of the festival, that evening? Had I done something that wrong? I felt plenty sorry about it, and I only looked anyways. I didn't break anything or steal anything, really. Still, to Tomitaka-san and Takano-san, they died so miserably. Since those two had come to such an end, there's obviously no way it would forgive only me. Rika-chan cutely tilted her head in confusion and waited for me to say something. If I were to admit what happened that night, though, she might suddenly do a 180 as if flipping a switch. Oh my God, just be honest. That would make sense. Rika-chan was the shrine maiden. She was the least likely to forgive me for breaking the taboo, wasn't she? Upon reflection, wouldn't telling her be more terrifying than telling Mion or Oishi-san? No! She's a fucking little girl. What's she gonna do? Fucking kill you? Rika-chan could just give up and leave, couldn't she? She didn't. She only was quietly waiting for me to say it myself. Say it, Keiichi Maebara. If you really are sorry, then you should say so. Please, yes, Keiichi. Of course, it's normal to hesitate given the crazy way Tomitaka-san and Takano-san died. A pulping machine called Chaos was grinding up my brain. The juice wrung out of it turned into big droplets of sweat, which began to fall. Bro, please say it. Oh shit. Rika-chan suddenly straightened up, trying to pat me on the head.
圭一が何を悩んでいるのか、僕にはよくわからないのです。
I had nothing to say to that. I lowered my head a little so that Rika-chan's palm could reach it. She petted me, kind of like one would cat.
境内の裏を少し行ったところに大きな倉庫があるのをご存知ですか?
Rika's literally going to take him all the way there. She's going to literally feed it to him, and he just has to, bro. She's literally setting him up. All he has to say is just admit it, man.
西宮殿と言いますです。
My breath literally stopped. Rika-chan, though, wasn't acting in a coercive way at all.
お祭りの晩、その西宮殿に猫さんが入り込んだのだそうです。
猫?
はい、猫さんです。にゃーにゃーなのです。
Rika-chan knew. She realized I was in fear. I could tell she was desperately trying to choose the right words so that she wouldn't scare me. So then admit it, you pussy. Just come clean.
猫さんは前から細具殿の中を探検してみたいと思っていました。でも僕が意地悪をして中を見せてあげなかったのです。なので祭りの夜、猫さんは我慢できなくなって中に入ってみましたのです。
The cat was clearly supposed to be Takano-san. Oh wait, was this supposed to be me?
実は中には猫さんが怖がるものがたくさんあったのです。
Rika-chan made a cute gesture like a ghost was coming out to frighten me.
猫さんはびっくり仰天。一目散に逃げ出してガタガタブルブルニャーニャーで大変なのです。
その猫が誰だって言うんだ。
It was just a cat, Keiichi.
猫さんは猫さんです。にゃーにゃー。
Rika-chan still avoided saying it. The cat though was without a doubt me.
リカちゃん、頼む。教えてくれ。
Oh, God.
その猫さんはこれからどうしたらいい？
Maybe it was a desperate question to ask. I had sort of admitted to being the cat.
猫さんは猫さんですから、にゃーにゃー泣いてるだけで大丈夫ですよ。
True! Exactly. Bro, I'm telling you, I feel like Mion, everybody is trying to let Keiichi go and just like live just his life just normally, but like...
大丈夫ってそんないい加減な。
にゃーにゃー泣いてるだけではダメなのですか？
Geez, Rika-chan and I have put together an entire conversation using cat as a code word. I didn't hear it directly, but I had already admitted it. I didn't want to end up like those two. I didn't want to be a sacrifice like Shion said. That's what I thought, so I stubbornly remained silent. But now, that's enough.
泣いてるだけじゃダメなんだ。猫さんがいたずら心で忍び込んだのを。
犬さん。
そうだ、犬さんなんだ。猫さんのところへ代わる代わるやってきて忍び込んだ。
Uh-oh. Rika knows. Rika knows. Rika-chan's expression clouded over. She was trying to hide it, but I'd already noticed her eyes darkening.
リカちゃん。
Silence was frightening, so I spurred her on. At that point, Rika-chan grinned.
大丈夫ですよ。猫さんは僕が守ってあげます。
Rika! Huh? I thought for a moment that I had misheard those words, so dependable they were.
猫さんはとても怖がっていますが、何匹かの犬さんがきっと勘違いしてるだけなのだと思います。
Okay, okay.
そんなに大変なことじゃないって。
猫さんの心配しすぎなのです。僕がきっと何とかしてあげますですよ。
Rika, our goat! Rika-chan will do something about it? I don't even know left from right at the moment, so Rika-chan didn't look at all
ちょっ
dependable.
と大変ですけど、頑張りますですよ。
Oh no, I swear, Keiichi, if Rika gets hurt because of your bitch ass... Oh boy.
ファイト、オーなのです。
She clenched her fist and stuck it in the air. Rika-chan said that the cat can just keep meowing. She said to leave it all to her. Is that really all it took to resolve this whole
本
thing?
当にリカちゃんで大丈夫なのか？
僕が頑張らないと、犬さんも大変なことになってしまうかもしれないのです。
Oh shit. Oh, she got that kind of power. I had no idea what Rika-chan was talking about anymore. She had been talking to me under the assumption that I was aware of certain things. So at first I understood her. Around the middle, though, I stopped understanding anything. However, one thing I did know was to not worry and to leave it to her. Rika-chan straightened up once again, patted me on the head, and smiled. I was so moved by that reassuring feeling that I couldn't help but start to
ご
cry.
めん。猫さんも本当にちょっとしたいたずらのつもりだったんだ。こんなことになるなんて全然。
猫さんは臆病すぎです。 だから見せたくなかったのです。
She was right. It was far too shocking for someone to see based on a little bit of interest alone. That's why they made it so difficult to look at it in the first place, wasn't it?
リカちゃん、その猫さんはどうなるんだろう。忍び込んだ2匹の猫さんが、あの晩に。
I had heard Tomitake-san and Takano-san's deaths were being kept a secret. Rika-chan might not know about it.
富武と高野ですか？
Oh shit, she just... I gave a start at the sudden mention of actual names, though it's weird to do at this point.
忘れると良いのです。
My spine froze again.
忘れる？
はい。あの二人のことを思い出すことは、圭一にとって良くないことなのです。
Keiichi, just have to forget them and move on, bro, or else you're dead too.
考えれば考えるほど怖くなるだけです。だから早く忘れた方がいいのです。
She said something so enormously terrifying without letting a smile on her face waver at
ど
all.
こで聞いたかわかりませんが、きれいさっぱりお風呂でゴシゴシするみたいに忘れちゃうと良いのですよ。
忘れるって言ったって、リカちゃんは知ってるんだろう。あの二人がどういう死に方を。
Oh no, bro, Keiichi's gonna make Rika mad. I am glad though we're finally getting some involvement from Rika. Like, up until now, she's just been in the background.
どんな死に方をしても、それは圭一とは関係のないことなのです。
True. Keiichi, they're dead, you're alive. Just fucking embrace that, okay? Rika declared this in a flat voice. Nothing to do with me, so forget about it. The girl before me, she was innocent and lovable and even seemed trustworthy, but suddenly she took on another dimension. Don't get involved with their deaths. I'll help you, Keiichi. Those two contradictory statements twisted and distorted my image of the girl in front of me.
シオンは、あいつはどうなるんだ？
It might have been dangerous to mention Shion's name, but I couldn't stop myself from asking. Rika-chan saw through everything anyway. There was no way I was going to fool her or keep anything from her at this point.
姉妹猫の妹ですか？にゃーにゃー。
そうだ、妹猫だ。
Rika-chan appeared to think upon this for a moment. It was hard for me to endure even in this momentary silence.
姉猫は怒ってます。
Oh shit.
妹猫が悪いことをしたので、とても怒ってます。
Oh shit.
姉猫って。
That could only mean Mion. I recall being questioned by her yesterday.
圭一、姉猫はとても機嫌が悪いです。
Oh fuck.
しばらくの間、そっとしてあげてほしいなのです。
Listen to Rika, Keiichi. Don't do fucking anything stupid. Not in a good mood, those words sent a shiver through me. Mion was mad. She was mad that we entered the ritual
今日から
storehouse.
部活はなしにしましょう。
Yes! No more daily club time! Woo! Yeah!
なんでだよ。
そっとしてあげてほしいからなのです。
Oh shit, she angry. Listen to her, Rika. Rika-chan ended her sentence with such force that I couldn't say anything in response. Bro, Keiichi, Rika's on your side, man. Just fucking listen to her. Like, stop thinking. You're too stupid. Rika's 10 times smarter than you, half your age, okay? Like, don't disobey Rika-chan right now. True, she's the only one who said she'll help me right now. I'll leave things to her just as she said to. I mean, she even said that the cat should just keep meowing. I'll forget everything like she said. Yes, yes, I'll leave everything to her. I'll forget everything about Takano-san and Tomitake-san and what I did last night. Just then, we heard a bell far away, marking the end of our lunch break.
じゃあ、校舎に戻ろうか。
圭一、
As if she had noticed how miserable I was, about to leave everything to her and flee the scene, Rika-chan called out to stop
勘
me.
違いの犬さんが猫さんに噛みつこうとしたら知らせてくださいね。
Oh, shit. Is a dog that she thinks we're talking about the police? Does she think it's the police? She might think it's the police and not... He's thinking the dogs are the village. But she might be thinking the dogs are the police. The misunderstanding dog. She put it in such a cute sounding way, but the true meaning behind those words was an eerie one.
勘違いの犬さんってなんだ？
Oishi-san.
村長を噛んだ犬さんです。
We don't know who that is. Rika does?
どうして村長を噛んだのか、僕にはわかりません。
Okay, so that's not Mion, because Mion's looking for them, the mayor. And in this scenario, Mion is referred to as Big Sister Cat. It's not Shion, because it's a younger sister cat. So who the fuck is this dog?
ふむふむ。
You think the dog is the grandma?
噛むなら、いたずら猫さんを先に噛むはずなのにです。
The trickster cat? Who's the trickster cat? The flow of blood in my body fell. Who's the trickster cat? What? Alright. No, Shion's the little sister cat. Who the fuck is this? Bro, Rika, just fucking use names. You say Takano and Tomitake so easily. Can we just use names? Felt like it completely stopped for a moment. It's Cypher. Rika-chan had admitted it. The sacrifices of that terrible calamity. She admitted that if they were to happen again, it would be Shion or I. Yes, I didn't know what was true about the girl standing before me. My suspicion gave way to fear and nearly began to change into anger. Was she a savior who would protect me, or a stranger trying to capture and kill me for the sake of a horrible tradition? Keiichi, like, bro, just... There he goes again, paranoid again. I had no idea what was true.
ごめんなさいなのです。猫さんが怖がっているのに、また怖がるようなことを言ってしまいました。
Bro, Rika's on your side, Keiichi,
ごめんなさい
please.
なのです。
Rika-chan bowed so quickly it looked like her head had been pulled downward. Still, she was right. I was cowering. I could distinctly feel my body shaking violently. So when Rika-chan reached her hand out to pat onto my head, I pulled away without thinking. Keiichi, you monster.
お、
Keiichi!
ごめん。
Rika-chan made a very sad face, but I just couldn't bring myself to put out my head for her again. Nah. Listen, I've played a bunch of visual novels. I'm telling you, man. Isn't it always a thing that the main character of visual novels just always have to be fucking stupid? Almost every fucking goddamn visual novel I play, man. The main characters are always fucking stupid. Like, it's like visual novel writing relies on the crux of the main character being fucking stupid to move the plot. Like, that it is literally a minimum requirement. Like, if the MC is ever remotely fucking intelligent, damn, these visual novels would be fucking... They'd be short as fuck. If he was smart, he would have been in a different town from the start at the start. Cage is just a kid, though. Bro, listen, he's 14. Like, bro, come on, man. That day, Rika-chan said she wasn't feeling up for club activities, so she suggested we don't bother. There's always vetoes when someone doesn't feel up to it. Rena and the others seemed really disappointed. The big sister cat is not in a good mood. I remember Rika-chan's words and quietly stole a glance at Mion's expression. If I could forget the way she questioned me yesterday, though, her behavior was the same as it always was. Nah, but that's the thing, Keiichi. Smiling Mion is angry Mion. You can only trust Mion when she blushes. That's the only time you can trust her. If she's smiling, it's fucking scary. Oh shit. Alright, well, what could Keiichi possibly do to fuck this up now? After dinner, without energy to watch TV, I climbed into the futon in my bedroom and let my head be overtaken by gloomy thoughts. I told Rika-chan anything and everything. She had seemed trustworthy at the time, but had that really been the right choice? The more I looked back on it, the less I understood what Rika-chan was saying. Not only did she know about Takano-san and Tomitake-san's death, but she spoke of them as if she were a concerned party. After all this time in my futon, I began to tremble fiercely. Had I been lured in by Rika-chan's sweet smile and told her things I shouldn't have? I should have continued to feign ignorance. I shouldn't have shown her such a weak side of me. My emotions are a mix of regret and fear, and it colored the darkness of the night with an additional layer of terror. Suddenly a knock. I might have yelped, that's how surprised I was.
さっきから呼んでるぞ。電話だ。園崎さんから。
Oh shit, is it Shion or Mion? It was Dad. I reached out to the cordless phone through the gap in my door.
園崎さんって姉妹？
そんな自分で出て聞きなさい。
I took the receiver and buried myself in my futon again.
もしもし、ミオンかシオンか。
私です。シオンです。こんばんは。
I practically jumped out of the bed. It was Shion who I hoped so desperately would call me back last
シオ
night.
ン！ゆうべはすまなかった。つい興奮して。
I heard what sounded like a deep sigh on the other
俺
end.
もシオンも同じ立場なんだよな。一方的に責めるような言い方をして悪かった。もうしない。謝るから機嫌を直してくれ。
機嫌を直したから電話したんです。後悔したなら許してあげますから。もう謝るのをやめてください。
Shion, there's way better men than Keiichi out there. Don't fucking ditch this guy, okay? Come on. He's fucking stupid as shit. Shion's tone still sounded a little angry, but for the moment, she said she'd forgive me.
ケイちゃんの言うように、私たちは運命共同体なんです。互いの無事の確認が自分たちの安全の唯一の保証なんです。
ああ、それについては同感だ。
だから私たちは互いの知っている情報を共有する必要があります。高野さんたちみたいな死に方をしないために。
Gulp. I forced myself to swallow a solid drop of
で
saliva.
は、昨日の続きを話します。
Oh god.
もう怒らないで聞いてくれますよね。
ああ、大丈夫だ。
まず、私たちが思っている以上に、最後殿に忍び込んだことは禁忌、タブーだったみたいです。
Takano-san and Tomitake-san's miserable ends, terrible enough that you could call them a warning. They were more than enough to make me believe
犯
that.
人たちは最後殿を怪我した首謀格のあの二人を殺し、次に私たちを狙います。否定したいでしょうが、これを認めてください。失踪してから認めてももう遅いんですよ。
分かってるって。用心に越したことはないからな。
私も本当は認めたくありません。あんな拷問道具の博覧会を覗き見したことがあんな殺され方をする理由になるなんて絶対に信じたくない。
That's what a taboo is. For those who honor it, if one breaks the taboo, no matter how small or innocent their intentions were, they wouldn't be
互い
forgiven.
に何か気になることがあったら報告し合いましょう。互いの持つ小さな断片を合わせていけば、ひょっとすると高野さんたちを殺した、いえ、今年の事件に限らない。
Shion, people that killed them is your sister and their whole gang.
過去の連続事件を解決する鍵が見つかるかもしれません。
そうだな。確かにそうだ。
All I was doing was waiting in fear, but Shion had already thought that far ahead. Given how trustworthy she felt, I became embarrassed over how passive I was being.
では、まずは言い出した私からいきます。最近、誰かに監視されているような気がします。
え？
と言っても、気のせいかもしれません。でも、一応報告します。今は気のせいだと思っていますけど、もしもケイちゃんも同じように、これは気のせいじゃないのかもしれませんから。
そういうことなら安心しろ。少なくとも俺の方は大丈夫だ。
Think. So I spoke with Shion. I thought back on today. I had no grounds to say that everything was
そうで
fine.
すか。では気のせいということにしますが、ケイちゃんも注意してください。特に一人で表を歩くときは、細心の注意を払ってください。私は沖宮ですから、一人きりになることはそうそうありませんが、 一人ぼっちになることも多いはずです。特に注意してください。
そうだな。あ、気をつけるよ。
それからお姉なんですが、何か変わった様子はありませんか？
お姉ってミオンのことか？変わった様子ってどういうことだ？
先日私お姉に渡流しの夜の所在について問いただされました。
え？それは俺もだよ。一昨日かな。ミオンに聞かれた。
やっぱりですか。私は言ってないと答えました。ケイちゃんは？
同じだよ。ごまかした。
Both of us gave a quiet sigh of relief.
渡流しの晩以降、お姉の様子はおかしいです。用心に越したことはありませんので、注意してくださいね。
Mion was acting strangely. Aside from her asking me about the night of Watanagashi, she hadn't seemed too out of the ordinary, at least from my point of view. Her twin sister, though, was saying she was acting weird. Maybe it was such a slight change that a stranger like me wouldn't be able to
わかった。
notice.
少し用心するよ。帰り道は必ずレナも一緒だから、二人きりになるってこともそうそうないしな。
Clueless, he thinks Rena is on his side.
用心してください。気になることがあったら教えてくださいね。
わかった。
では、ケイちゃんの方では何か私に話すことはありませんか？
My turn? That's right, maybe I should report on Oishi-san asking me the same question at the
ケ
library.
イちゃんが逃げ遅れたあの時の話ですね。
ああ、大石さんにかなり強い口調で聞かれたよ。あの晩、高野さんたちと一緒にいなかったか。大石さんは俺たちが4人一緒にいたところを見ていたようだった。
警察にしてみれば、高野さんたちが最後に会った人間ということになりますからね。私たちに興味を持つのはある意味当然でしょうね。
こっちもごまかしたけど、かえって興味を持たれたかもしれない。
There's no way I could have tricked that sly old fox, Oishi-san. My troubled countenance would have only made him even more certain.
なあ、シオン。警察なら行っちゃってもいいんじゃないのか？むしろ俺たちの状況を思えば、警察を味方につけるのはプラスだと思うぞ。
Shion didn't answer right away. For a few moments, all I could hear was her breathing as she thought about
そういえ
it.
ば大石さんはミオンに何らかの嫌疑があるなんて言ってたような気がする。うん、確かにそう言ってた。
昨日も話しました通り、園崎家はひなみ沢に強い影響力を持っています。大石は一連の連続開始事件を園崎本家が中心になった村ぐるみの犯行だと疑っていますから。
園崎家が中心になった村ぐるみの犯行？
Please don't get angry like you did yesterday and just listen. I hammered that home before I got too upset.
ひなみ沢のダム闘争の時、リーダーシップを期待された神主があまりに日和見だったので、園崎本家が首謀閣になって決起したんです。戦いの歴史についてはお姉から聞いてますよね。
ああ、ひなみ沢全体で一丸となって戦ったんだろう。デモをしたり裁判に訴えたりテレビに出たり。
実際はもっともっと過激なこともたくさん行われたんです。園崎本家が水面下で様々な違法な抵抗活動を行ったと言われてます。
違法な抵抗活動？
例えば夜中に建設現場に忍び込み、機材を盗んだり壊したり、建設重機のガソリンタンクに角砂糖を入れたりとか。
ガソリンタンクに砂糖？なんでそんなことを？
知らないんですか？戦争中にフランスの地下組織なんかがやった典型的なゲリラ活動ですよ。
Why the fuck does Shion know this?
砂糖を入れるとエンジンが焦げついて壊れちゃうんですよ。
That's pretty bad though, isn't it? It was a destruction of property and nothing else.
建設現場への監視が強化されると、今度は工事の重要な立場にある人間への攻撃に変更されました。例えば工事を認可した役人たちには様々な脅迫が行われました。
Because she's a rich girl? No, I bet she's been trained. Bro, remember the whole Sonozaki family are like Yakuza? They probably all know this shit.
それは県庁の役人だけでなく、建設省の偉い役人にまで及んだそうです。聞いた話では、子供の誘拐までやったとか。
What the hell?
誘拐？
ええ、建設省の南沢ダムを担当する偉い人の子供が神隠しにあったんですよ。で、ある日突然、南沢のもっと上流の高津戸の山中で保護されまして、犯行声明はなかったって言われてるんですけど、ダム工事を中止するようにとの脅迫があったのではないかと囁かれています。他にも枚挙にいとまがないほどの脅迫の話があります。
それは確かにちょっとやばいな。
Sort of.
そんな最中だったんですよ、第一の事件。現場監督のバラバラ殺人があったのは、園崎家が主犯格の男を買収したのではと囁かれてますが、何しろ今日も逃走中ですからね。
When you put it that way, the Sonozaki family definitely seems
犯人も
suspicious.
口封じで消したんじゃないかって大石は思ってるみたいです。当然ですね。身内である私ですら、園崎本家の暗躍があったのではないかと思ってるくらいですから。
それを俺に信じろってのか？ミオンの園崎本家がそんな悪いことをやってきたと信じろというのか？
ケイちゃんが信じなくても村人たちは信じてます。自分たちが綺麗な抵抗運動をする陰で、園崎家が汚い抵抗運動をしてくれた。自分たちの矢面に立って戦ってくれたんだってみんな思ってます。ですからちょっとしたダークヒーローとして崇められているんですよね。私が知っているのは本当に一部だけだと思います。例えば誘拐なんかの特にヤバい話は当主のバッチャーを含めほんの数人しか知らされてないと思います。園崎家は秘密主義ですから。
秘密主義か。
Shion, should you really be telling us all this? Your sister's definitely gonna kill you the more you talk. Family's so unforthcoming that even Shion, who is related to them, doesn't know everything about them. Sonozaki family. Like Shion, her older twin Mion was deeply involved with everything, and that was not a fun thought to entertain.
そういった違法な抵抗運動の中心として年少ながら活躍したのがお姉でした。
ミオンが？どういうことだよ。
うちのお父さん、ヤクザの大物ですから。年少のお姉でも若い柄の悪いのを何人も従えることができました。で、様々な嫌がらせや妨害をやってのけたんです。
ミオンが？
今はなんだかのんびりした雰囲気だから想像もつかないでしょうが、器物破損から脅迫、暴行まで一通りこなして何度も補導されたんですよ。子供ですからすぐに釈放してもらえたみたいですけどね。お姉は自分の年齢が武器になることを知ってたみたいです。
May have been indiscreet, but I couldn't help but chuckle dryly. She may have been young, but she was certainly still Mion. Even back then, she had already been known for her craftiness.
笑い事じゃないです。真剣になってください。
悪い。そんなつもりじゃ。
Shion had gotten pretty angry at me.
そんな不良娘だったお姉もいつの間にか園崎本家の重鎮。大石がバラバラ殺人以降の事件を疑いたくなるのもまあ無理ないことです。
For a few moments, I was dumbstruck at the tales of Mion's past. None of them matched the image I had of her. A younger Mion, dirtying her hands with all sorts of crimes, giving the dam construction project hell. As a successor of the Sonozaki main family, she was always right at the center of the vortex of strange incidents occurring year after year. Was that really the Mion I know? Maybe the one I know isn't the real Mion. Oh, bro, he's doing this whole shit like he did with Rena. Like real Rena, fake Rena, the other Rena. Couldn't figure it out. I couldn't bring myself to accept these images of Mion I was hearing from another person.
話を戻します。お姉が注意に値する存在であることは理解してもらえたと思います。注意してください。
I didn't want to understand. Mion was a fantastic friend. She would never do something to me in a corner like that. She did ask me pretty harshly about the night of the festival, but even that, it wasn't like she said it in a mean way or anything. Yeah, but that's how she gets you. She doesn't say it in a mean way.
わかった。気をつけるようにするよ。
私とお姉は血のつながった姉妹ですが、園崎家にあってはまるで格が違うんです。私とはとても遠い存在だということを認識してください。お願いします。
The more Shion tells me about Mion, the less I understand who Mion is. The Mion I know wasn't a dangerous person. She joked around, smiled a lot, and was full of passion. Now that I realize I held such a view towards her, Shion was telling me to change it. Okay, Keiichi, how about we lock in, realize our close friend is a Yakuza boss, and then we ignore all this, play their cards right, and then we eventually marry Mion in the future when we're of age, and then now we are the husband of a Yakuza boss. And then boom, our life is settled, right? It's real easy, simple. To be careful around the best friend ever. To doubt her. The idea was very sad and painful.
で、大石の件ですが、ケイちゃんがいいと判断するなら、必要な情報を与えてもいいと思います。やはり警察を味方につけるのは、私たちに有利に働くと思います。
Oh shit.
やっぱりシオンもそう思うか。
Bro, it didn't work last time in chapter 1. Don't bother. If anything, I think it got us in more trouble in chapter 1.
ただ、今説明した通り、園崎の人間はそもそも警察に睨まれているんです。特に大石は園崎家が丸ごと連続事件の黒幕だと決めてかかってますからね。それはもちろん私も含めてです。ですから私はあまり大石には関わりたくないんです。
I see. If Oishi-san had found out about the Sonozaki family's strife-filled history, then he probably wouldn't be very happy with Shion either. At last, I understood Mion's instinctive dislike for Oishi-san.
どうせバレてはいるんですが、一応私の名前を伏せておいてください。
Oh, well,
それだけ守ってくれれば、大石には何を話しても問題ないと思います。
わかった。伏せるようにするよ。
警察の捜査力は今の私たちにはとても心強い武器になると思います。
I feel like it's a little sussy. Why does she not want her name? Like, if anything, Oishi would be happy, right? Because then it gives him an in to the Sonozaki family, right? A fucking insider. Like...
大石が興味深い話をしたら、私にも聞かせてくださいね。
ああ、もちろんだ。情報は互いに交換し。
What if this whole time, every single one of these phone calls has just been Mion? And this whole time, Shion has actually just been, after last night, been killed, and it's just Mion pretending to be Shion the entire time, and we have no fucking idea. That 100% could be the truth, right?
高野さんたちを殺したのは誰なのかそして俺たちを狙うのは誰なのかそれが分かるまで俺たちは自衛しなくてはならない。
I feel like that low-key might happen.
あとはありますか？大石に聞かれたこと以外は、身に起こったことはどんな些細なことでも教えてください。
Don't tell her about Rika. Don't do it. You're gonna get Rika killed. Because this isn't Shion. This is Mion. I'm telling you. I feel like this is what Keiichi needs to do to test her. Be like, what was that thing again that you heard when we were at the storehouse? And then she'd be like, if this is Shion, then she'd be able to reply. But if it's Mion, then she wouldn't know. Aside from my discussion with Oishi-san, don't tell her about Rika. Oh. Should I tell her that I revealed everything to Rika-chan? Rika-chan was acting like she knew something I didn't. She told me to leave it to her, but what? Oh, that's right. When I was talking to her, I mentioned Shion's name too. Was that a mistake? I felt like Shion would get
何
angry.
もないんですかケイちゃん。
I remained quiet for a little while, so Shion encouraged me to speak, unable to bear the silence.
えっと
Oh no, don't do it. As I struggled with what to say, Shion addressed me
ない
instead.
ようでしたら私から聞きたいんですけど、私もついさっき聞いたんですが、君吉のおじいちゃんが行方不明になったって本当ですか？
Old man Kimiyoshi. My gut told me that was the name of the
村
mayor.
長さんのことか。なんだシオン、聞いてないのか。
何も知らないです。お父さんが電話でそう話してるの、また盗み聞いただけですから。
I realized I shouldn't have said that. Here in Hinamizawa, the things that happened around this time when Oishiro-sama's curse would reoccur would all be covered up.
ああ、実はな、昨べ会合の後、家に帰ってこないとかで、ひなみ沢中で大騒ぎになったんだ。村中で探したみたいだけど、まだ見つかったって話は聞かないな。警察も探してるはずなんだけど。
なんでそんな大事な話を先にしてくれなかったんですか？
She shouted angrily at me, bringing all her emotion to bear. Wait, why?
悪い。もう知ってると思ってたんだよ。隠す気なんかなかった。
The receiver was silent. Did Shion get mad and hang
お
up?
い、シオン、もし。
ケイちゃん、私どうしよう。
Shion's tiny, confused voice sounded like it belonged to a different person than the one yelling a few seconds
どうした
ago.
話せよ。俺たちの間で隠し事はなしだろ。
Yes, you are. Shion hesitated for a long while, but then she
ごめん、
confessed.
隠すつもりはなかったんです。ちょっと言うのが前後したっていうか。
俺たちは仲間だろ。怒ったりしないから正直に話せよ。
Shion still hesitated for a few moments, then, in a resigned voice, she continued.
君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
Shion seemed to think I would yell at her right after she said that, so I heard her catching her breath. Okay. So I think this is what it comes down to, right? I think Mion wants to protect Keiichi, right? And she needs to make sure that Keiichi doesn't say anything and keeps up the charade of like nothing happened, and she's getting rid of everybody that has done something. So like maybe Mion is leading all the efforts to find the mayor because it's the perfect cover to hide the fact that she's the one that got rid of the mayor. But then that wouldn't make sense because Rika said the dog got rid of the mayor, but then the dog wouldn't be Mion. So who the fuck is the dog, bro? Who the fuck is the dog? I don't fucking know. Contrary to what she thought, I was a little relieved. Shion had done the same thing I had when I confessed everything to Rika-chan. So in as gentle as a voice I could, so as not to set her off, I
君
responded.
吉のじいさんってのはシオンにとって相談できる心安い人なんだろ。
はい、私のこと小さい頃から本当に可愛がってくれて。
Shion felt the same pain as the rest of us from the mayor's disappearance. She had a different kind of strength from Mion, and as she continued, her voice sounded truly sad and pained.
私、いつも意地悪なことをしてたのに、いつもニコニコと笑って。
Wait, but that's what Rena said Mion did to the mayor. They easily both could have done it, but I feel like that's a bit of a coincidence.
私の言うことは何でも聞いてくれて、本当に優しい人だったのに。
落ち着けよシオン。
Because remember, Rena never met Shion, the sister. Maybe Mion has used Shion in the past to cover for herself while she does other stuff, and then made people think that Shion was Mion the whole time? Or maybe Shion is the trickster cat, and she's the one that Rika said she should have been bitten by the dog first. So maybe we're all under fucking Shion's tricks right now. I don't
別
know.
に死んでしまったわけじゃないだろ。そんな簡単に諦めるなよ。
Maybe Shion might be the trickster cat because she's tricking Keiichi into possibly going against the village, which Mion and Rika don't want. Shion didn't answer. Even as I said it myself, I didn't think we'd ever find the missing mayor again. We probably wouldn't even figure out if he was alive or dead. Shion must have been thinking that... Shion must have been thinking the same thing.
私、最後でに忍び込んだこと、誰かにそれを見られてて、私たちを狙っている人がいるって。
村長さんは高野さんたちがまともじゃない死に方をしたのを知ってるのか？
はい、知っていました。あの二人がお社様のたたりで死んだから、私はその怒りを鎮める生贄にされるんじゃないかって本当に率直に言いました。
ああ、それで
君吉のおじいちゃん、怒らなかった。そしてにっこり笑って、しおんちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら鬼隠しになんかなるものかって本当に笑いながら、任せなさいって。
But Rika also said that. Oh no. Is Rika gonna get disappeared? I swear, Keiichi, if you fucking get Rika disappeared, but there's no way they would disappear Rika. She's the last daughter of the Furude family. Until Shion stopped sobbing, I was unable to find any words for her. I couldn't imagine what kind of person the mayor was, nor what Shion's relationship with him was like. Words of comfort, however, mean so much to us when we're about to be crushed by anxiety. Today, Rika-chan taught me that too. Someone who gave me such a sense of security were to disappear, then I could guess what kind of shock Shion was in.
私が打ち明けてしまったから。
よせよ、シオン。シオンのせいじゃないよ。
Hey, Calnox, thank you for the Prime. Welcome to the Fobbits. Thank you, thank you.
私のせいなんです。私が打ち明けてしまったから。君吉のおじいちゃんが知ってしまったから。だから殺されてしまったに違いないんです。
I will say, if this is somehow Mion the whole time, give her the Oscar. Impeccable acting.
だって打ち明けてすぐなんですよ。
Yeah, maybe it's not Mion. Like, it would be insane acting skills. Like, she should just become an actress. Fuck the Yakuza.
打ち明けて大丈夫って言ってくれたその晩に消えてしまった。
He found out, so he became involved.
話すんじゃなかった。これは全部私たち4人の動画だったはず。他人に話してはいけないことだったんです。話したから殺されてしまった。知ったから殺されてしまった。打ち明けたから殺されてしまった。
おい、待てよ。そんなやつなら打ち明けた村長を殺す前にお前から先に殺すに決まってるじゃないか。順番が違うよ。殺されるなら俺かシオンが先。他の奴らが先に死んだりするものか。
順番はあります。私たちを一番最後に殺すつもりに違いないんです。
は？なんだって？
That wouldn't make sense. It's two deaths, two disappearances.
人思いに殺さないで。親しい人たちから順々に殺していって、散々悲しい思いをさせた後に殺す。そういう狙いに違いないんです。
Shion, you're not making sense. There's a pattern to this shit, okay? Even serial killers have methodic ways they decide who to kill, all right?
落ち着けって。シオンは今ショックを受けてパニックを起こしてるだけなんだよ。村長の失踪はシオンとは関係ない。無関係だ。高野さんたちの死とも全く関係ないんだ。
What if this is Mion acting like Shion and setting it up so like being like you tell so basically because what we're getting from no hear me out, chat. Basically what we're getting from this entire phone call is you tell anybody and that person is gonna die. So don't tell your parents, don't tell any friends, don't tell anything, because you reveal it to someone, they'll fucking die. So this could be Mion pretending to be Shion to keep Keiichi in line and be like, don't fucking say shit, motherfucker. Like, if you tell someone, they're gonna fucking die. But like, under the guise of being Shion. Yeah, imagine Keiichi's parents, Keiichi's dad, like, oh, he's talking to a girl. I wonder what they're talking about. Just fucking pulls up the other receiver. It's like, am I dead? She repeat the same thing as before, as though she were in a delirium. Despite my trying to console the crazed Shion, for some reason the shadow at my feet began to freeze. From that shadow, a cold arm reached out, so cold it seemed like it would freeze even my heart just by touching and grab my ankle. The heat generated by my body and arm was absorbing it. It was horrible chill, freezing cold, numbingly frigid. It was an inviolable chill of fear. Though I sympathized with Shion, I had been naive in thinking it was something only she had to worry about. In my head, Shion's eerie words repeated again and again. He was killed because I told him. He was killed because he found out. I confessed everything. So he was killed. Those words echoed through my head like a monotone mantra, and finally those even repetitions took on meaning. The quiet shaking that had already overtaken me turned into a violent shiver that shot up my spine. Rika.
Rika-chan! Rika-chan だ!
今なんて言ったんですか？
俺も実は打ち明けたんだ。
Bro, what are you saying? Why would it be Rika? The mayor already disappeared before. Like, this don't even make sense. What are you saying, man? Like, what? The mayor was already gone before you told Rika anything. Like,
Rika-chan に。
リカちゃんってリカちゃまのことですか？フルデ神社のリカちゃま？
そうだよ、リカちゃんだよ。俺もどうしようもなく不安でリカちゃんに。
そうしたらリカちゃまはなんて？
Cat is worrying too much? I'll do something about it for sure. That's what Rika-chan said and then smiled. She smiled just like the missing mayor had when she encouraged Shion. Oh no, he's implying that Rika's in danger. His just wording is just really fucking stupid.
ごめん、シオン。俺ちょっとリカちゃんのことが心配になっ
His
ちゃって。
wording is just really dumb. But yeah, okay.
はい、そんなに心配でしたらぜひ電話を安否を確認してみてください。
ああ。
また明日もこのくらいの時間に連絡します。それをもって私の安否確認としてください。
わかった、待ってる。じゃあな、すまん、切るぞ。
Put down the receiver without waiting for Shion to say goodbye. The danger to Shion and myself was secondary at this point. My sixth sense was blaring alarms in my head. I don't like this feeling. It's really bad. It's definitely bad.
Rika-chan!
So how are we going to check on Rika-chan? About to run over, or are we calling her? Oh shit. I mean, we gotta do one more. We gotta do one more. Fuck. Their punishment isn't over?
いえいえ、気にしないでくださいよ。なぜか年計のガソリンスタンドのせいだから遠慮しないでもう一杯飲んでいけばいいのに。
The man, red-faced, waved his hand to say that he'd had enough and disappeared into the brilliant neon lights in front of the station.
クマちゃんも勉強しといてくださいよ。謙虚な人が結局一番長生きするんです。
さっきの話。
さて、それはわからないですけどね。真偽はともかく。
そんなのが村長を狙う動機になりうるんすかね。
クマちゃん、いつも言ってるでしょ。動機っていうのはその本人に十分でありさえすれば足りるんです。価値観の違いをよく考えなくちゃ。あ、お母さん、もう一杯ください。
Though we have been suppressing the information, Toмотake and Takano's deaths were already known throughout Hinamizawa. All the rumors pointed to them having incurred the wrath of Orishiro-sama for setting foot in the Forbidden Temple, the storehouse for ritual implements. According to the rumors, there were 2 other people who went in there with them, Shion Sonozaki and Keiichi Maebara. People were whispering in the shadows that those 2 would be cursed by Orishiro-sama as well. Apparently, however, the responsibility didn't fall solely on the 4 trespassers' shoulders. Until last year, it was locked up tight, but this year it would have been changed to a simpler lock. Ooh, hadn't that been what allowed thieves to enter so easily? So that's why the mayor got punished. Those were the rumors going around?
クマちゃんは見たことありませんか？私はずいぶん前に何かのようで行った時に見たことをよく覚えてますよ。
すみません。
そりゃもうおっかないくらいに厳重に施錠してありましてね。まるで大金庫みたいに厳重な蔵だったんですよ。
This year it was very simple and cheap padlock. The lone girl protecting the shrine, Rika Furude, disliked the heavy locks and consulted with the mayor, who had replaced it with a simpler padlock.
だから村長とフルデリカも同罪ってことなんですか？だとしたら村長に続いてフルデリカもまずいじゃないですか。
その可能性は大ですね。
Rika, no!
ひなみ沢を巡回している覆面者にフルデ神社近辺に張り付かせてください。
了解っす。
Rika, no! Oh shit. We'll come back to that last scrapbook later. Listen, I want to get... listen, we got to get going, okay? I want to see what happens. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika-chan's phone number on my school's contact list. There it is. My finger trembled with urgency, and I failed multiple times to put in the simple 5-digit number.
ケイイチ、こんな時間に電話？夜遅くは先方に失礼だからよしなさい。
今はそれどころじゃないんだよ。
Yeah, Mom, go away. I shouted angrily at my mother, listening to the dial tone. Pick up, come on, pick up. Time was 11 p.m. It certainly wasn't early. It was essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika-chan already gone to bed? Her phone would be ringing constantly, though, so would she get back up for me? Rika-chan didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. Maybe she just happened to miss it. Maybe her bed was just too far away from the phone. The sound of a phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sleeping. Then, the bathroom? Yeah, she must be taking a bath. If that was the case, then even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick up. It was a little late to be taking a bath, but it was possible she normally took baths right before going to bed. I'll wait 30 minutes and try calling again. Oh no. Even as I was thinking that, I called her house over and over. I kept calling over and over again and again. I kept calling on her, but she didn't pick up even once. I think I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent that she had gotten scared of picking up the receiver? No, that couldn't possibly be it. There was no point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be to go in person. Where was Rika-chan's house again? Shit, I've never even asked her where she lived. Her residence was written there in the contact list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where it was by reading it. Isn't there a map or something in there? Rika Furude. Her last name was Furude. It was a bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged around the drawer with the phone book, but could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public establishments. Shit. I tore one thing after another out of the drawer, but I didn't come up with any clues as to where Rika-chan's house was. Calm down, Keiichi. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone who does know.
そうだ。レナなら知ってるに違いない。
Looked up Rena's phone number on the contact list. Rena Ryugu, there she was. Oh no.
もしもし。
Oh, so Rena does have parents.
竜宮です。
It was the voice of a grumpy-sounding man. Must have been Rena's father. I'm calling in the middle of the night. I need to be polite.
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。前原と申しますが、レナさんはいらっしゃいますか？
レイナは風呂に入っていますが。あ、出たかな。
Okay, so Rena's taking a bath at 11.
レイナ、友達から電話だぞ。
Oh, Reina. Alright, Reina Ryuga was her real name, wasn't it? I'd gotten so used to calling her Rena that hearing her real name caught me a little off
もし
guard.
もし、お電話変わりました。
あ、俺だよ、刑事だ。夜遅くにすまん。
あれ、ケイチ君、こんな時間に何かな
実は、
shit.
リカちゃんの家がどこにあるのか知りたいんだ。
Rena seemed a little appalled that I called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously as she caught on to how urgent my need was.
うん、いいよ。フルデ神社の境内に集会所があるよね。その裏手に2階建ての倉庫小屋があるのを知ってるかな。そこに住んでるんだよ。
Couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I just had to take a look
わかっ
around.
た。ありがとう。こんな遅くにすまなかったな。親父さんに謝っといてくれ。
そんなのはいいよ、ケイチ君。それより、どうしてリカちゃんの家を聞くのかな。
Rena asked in an unusually sharp way, halting me before I could hang up the phone. I hesitated for a moment about whether to tell her. He was killed because I told
ケイ
him.
チ君、聞こえてるなら答えてほしいな。どうしてリカちゃんの家の場所をこんな時間に聞きたいのかな。
Rena affected her usual tone, but beneath her words lay a certain tension, like she intuitively sensed something was going on. What will you do, Keiichi? If it's Rena, can't I tell her? He was killed because he found out. I revealed everything, so he
ケ
was
イチ
killed.
君、レナは真剣に聞いてるんだけどな。答えてほしいよ。
Rena asked me once again in a tone so forceful I couldn't imagine her ever using it normally. I was taken aback by her vigor. Rena was Rika-chan's friend too. She had the right to be concerned about Rika-chan's disappearing. If I told Rena, then, even if only for a moment, I could drive away my
レナ
horrifying fears.
理由を聞かれると困るんだが。
うん。
Rena's tone was seriousness itself. Just from that tone, I could feel her saying, "No matter what you say, Keiichi-kun, I'll believe you." That subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth.
リカちゃんが危ない気がするんだ。
それは虫の知らせかな。それともリカちゃんに危険が迫っている何か確信がある？
Just say a premonition, bro. Come on. Like, just hurry up. Really didn't have time to go back and forth with Rena about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice soothed my pointless
確
impatience.
信はないけど。
Yet I still hesitated. I had told Rika-chan that we had snuck into the ritual storehouse. The mayor to whom Shion had confessed before had already disappeared, so it was possible that Rika-chan also. I didn't know how to explain it to Rena. While I was tongue-tied, Rena
変
spoke
な
up.
こと聞いてごめんね。考えたら確信なんか必要なかった。
Rena laughed a little, seeming a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. Rena continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful
友
voice.
達のことが心配になって、それを確かめるのに理由なんかいらないと思う。仮にリカちゃんが寝ててそれを起こしてしまったとしても、それが理由なら私たちは誰も怒らないと思うよ。
Rena,
じゃあ
thank you.
まずはケイチ君に確認するね。リカちゃんの家に電話はしたんだよね。それでどうしても繋がらないから家の場所を聞いてきたんだね。
ああ。10分以上は鳴らし続けたと思う。ひょっとしたら気づかなくて寝てるだけなのかも。
リカちゃんの家はとても狭いの。だから電話が鳴ったらたとえ寝ていても気づかないわけはないよ。さとこちゃんもいるんだから2人揃って気づかないわけはない。
え、
Oh, shit.
さとこってリカちゃんと一緒に住んでるのか？
うん、知らなかったの？今はその話は後ね。とにかく電話をそれだけ鳴らして誰も出ないのは絶対におかしいよ。
Hey, maybe Rena's on our side this time. Rena understood that the situation wasn't normal far faster than I could have ever imagined her to. It made her seem dependable. However, the fact that Rena had acknowledged this also meant that the best case possibility of it all just being the result of my own needless fears went out the window.
私も今からすぐにリカちゃんの家に行くね。一緒に行く？なら迎えに行くよ。
わかった。じゃあいつもの待ち合わせ場所で合流しよう。待ってるぞ。
私ケイチだからお家で待ってていい。それからご家族に私と一緒にリカちゃんの家に行ってくるって伝えておいてね。
うちでいいのか？時間のロスのような。
あとみーちゃんには電話した？
Oh, shit.
みーちゃんはこういう時すっごく頼もしいの。 まだなら私から電話しておくね。
Oh, fuck. My thoughts froze for a moment. Shion had just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a little while ago. Sonozaki main house was somehow lurking behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, and the current heir to the family, Mion, wouldn't be uninvolved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved in what happened this year too? It's Takano-san and Tomitaka-san, and also the mayor's disappearance?
じゃあね、すぐに行くからね。待っててね。
That's all Rena said before hurriedly hanging up. Now wasn't the time to be doubting Mion. I needed to make sure Rika-chan was safe. Got changed and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we met up in the place we usually do before school. Rena wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents would probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I creeped out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. She said that Rika-chan and Satoko lived together, right? Then it wasn't only Rika-chan. Satoko wasn't there either? Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take a turn for the worse. That can't be. Satoko is... She's got nothing to do with any of this. Even if there were a reason for Rika-chan to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Satoko. Rena was really fast. She approached me on her bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, painting a clear picture of just how hurriedly she had been going.
さあ行こうぜ。
ケイチ君、私、お家で待っててって言ったはずだよ。
Rena's expression was all business. Was she mad? It came out of the blue and I faltered for a minute.
いや、ここで合流した方が早く出発できると思ってさ。
ケイチ君は本当に分かってるの？
Oh, whoa. Rena shouted, clearly angry. I've never seen Rena like this before.
分かってるのかって何がだよ。
Rena seemed to notice she was scaring me, took a couple deep breaths, and continued as if admonishing, but her expression didn't soften at all.
ケイチ君、昨日村長さんがいなくなって村中で大騒ぎになったよね。
ああ。
そんな中で、ケイチ君はリカちゃんとサトコちゃんがいなくなったって言ってるんだよ。
ああ、そういうことになるな。
じゃあ、もっと用心しなくちゃダメだよ。こんな夜中にたった一人でこんなところで突っ立ってるなんて不用心にも程があるんだから。
Okay, how about you then? How come you can be alone? We're going to understand where Rena's anger was coming
ご
from?
家族にはちゃんと私とリカちゃんの家に行くって伝えたよね。万が一私とケイチ君が揃って失踪しちゃうようなことがあっても、いつどの辺でいなくなったのかを残すことができる。
Rena was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Ever since the night of Watanagashi, every night someone had died or disappeared. On the night itself, Takano-san and Tomitaka-san met strange ends. On the next night, the elder vanished. Now on the next night after that, Rika-chan and Satoko were nowhere to be found. I hadn't been thinking of anyone but myself, but it wasn't enough to say that Hinamazawa was a little weird at the moment. It was in fact extremely strange. Rena had even anticipated her own disappearance and had told me to tell my family where I was going. I was embarrassed of my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the
ご
night.
めん、まだ行ってなかった。
うん、じゃあ一緒に言いに行こう。
With Rena beside me, I wheeled back towards my house. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky, a sky that was uselessly vast and cold, so that no matter what it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact had already confronted me. On such a crazy night, Rena had been unimaginably dependable. Hinamizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Rena caution me against carelessness, was to me the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. We met up with Mion on the way, and she, of course, was unsure whether to believe me about Rika-chan and Satoko's disappearance.
本気で言ってんの？もし冗談だったらかなり怒るよ。
Mion was clearly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't very funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had either died or vanished every night. Rika-chan and Satoko disappearing after all that was something you just couldn't say even in jest.
みーちゃん、本当に冗談だったなら怒るんじゃなく笑おうよ。だって冗談なんだから。私たちはそれが冗談であることを確かめなくちゃいけない。
そうだね。機嫌の悪そうなことを言ってごめん。
Man, bro, Mion hasn't had a single line that sounded happy in like the past 3 goddamn chapters. However indiscreet a joke it may have been, if we learned that our friends were safe, it would end up as nothing more than a funny story. Having been warned about that by Rena, Mion gave a dry smile. The tension she felt loosening a bit. She mounted her bicycle as well. Our 3 bicycles' lights flashed down the pitch black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside.
ケイちゃんはなぜ急にこんな時間にリカちゃんの家に電話なんかする気になったわけ？
Mion asked me the same thing that I had trouble explaining to
虫
Rena.
が知らせた。じゃあ、おかしいか。
I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mion smiling very ambiguously. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced, though, despite the
俺さ、
darkness.
うたた寝してる時に悪い夢を見ると、どうしても気になっちゃうんだよ。
ケイチくんはそれでリカちゃんがさらわれる夢を見たわけかな。
いや、もっと漠然とした予感みたいなものだよ。リカちゃんが電話に出てくれたなら、レナやミオにも続けて電話するつもりだったよ。
Lies smoothly babbled out of my mouth, makeshift though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them I was connected to Shion would be like silently admitting we'd stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night. Motherfucker, you don't have anything to admit. Everybody already knows, bitch. Mion didn't press me any further. I don't know whether that convinced her, or maybe she figured that making sure Rika-chan and Satoko were safe would be faster than making an issue out of it. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. Mion hadn't really been acting any differently these last few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion and Oishi-san, that she was the successor to some kind of super extravagant gang family. No. Was I just trying to force myself to forget? Don't do that, Keiichi Maibara. Wasn't it Mion who was the first to ask about the night of Watanagashi? In such a harsh tone at that? Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At the time, Mion looked like someone different from the Mion I knew. When I think about that Mion, that Shion and Oishi-san descriptions of Mion made a tiny bit more sense. That's it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way towards her now. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking only of everything she had done after that, while disregarding the very first thing. The thing I should have been looking at the most, wasn't I? Mion was pedaling our bicycle in front of me, her long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how long I looked at her back, it never gave me answers to any of my questions. What's up, Dartwarson? We went all the way to the stone steps leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to want to haul our bikes up there, so we parked them besides the staircase
フルデ
instead.
神社か。
みんな公園みたいな感覚で勝手に出入りしてるけど、本当はここはフルデ家の立派な私有地なんだよ。
So the entire shrine is private property. It really makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago, it would have looked the same.
だとすると、フルデ家って結構な旧家なんじゃないのか。代々続いた由緒ある。
うん、ない。おかしいよ。
Rena said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over
どう
to
した
her.
レナ。
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんはいつもここに自転車を止めてるはずなの。ほら、どこにもない。
I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles aside from the ones we'd taken to get here.
他の場所に止めてる可能性もあるんじゃない。例えば、担いで。
女の子には無理だよ、ケイチくん。
Just as she said, I couldn't imagine Rika-chan and Satoko lugging their bikes all the way up there. We hadn't yet unlocked or knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you'd call good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them. I refused to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof that they
行こうぜ。
disappeared.
家に行った方がはるかに確実だろう。
We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arch and came out onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Watanagashi festival had never happened.
リカちゃんたちが住んでいる家ってのはどこにあるんだ。
こっち、ついてきて。
Rena took the lead and sprinted off. Rena took the we went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine, then looped around behind it. In the darkness of the night, we found a small prefab 2-story shack that looked like a warehouse.
明かり消えてるね。寝てるんじゃない？
ノックしてみよう。
Rena and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place people would live. They had such a beautiful shrine, so I'd figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I'd expect.
リカちゃん、さとこちゃん、いる？
Rena shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained at first, but it steadily grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all.
寝てるのかもしれない。起こしてみよう。
Mion banged on the shutter with both hands, and the loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have noticed this much noise. They would turn on the light in their room, fling open the windows, and yell, "What time do you think it is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mion stopped slamming her fist into the shutter, and a sudden silence fell over us. The silence aroused terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face.
鍵かかってる。どこかから中に入れないかな。
Rena showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. Their refusal to give in gave me strength.
2階の窓とか鍵をかけ忘れてないかな。俺ちょっと試してみる。
ケイちゃん、はしご。
Mion brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. I'm assuming this dog that Rika talked about is a third party we don't know of. Like maybe Mion and the Sonozakis is like at one force, but there's another force of people, right? Maybe. Because also think about this, chat. Remember in the first chapter, Mion said she doesn't really believe in the Watanagashi stuff and the Oyashiro-sama, but like Rena does. So like, footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but
Really
Mion held the
fucking mad
ladder
these
firmly
ads.
in place for me. Hollow, thank you for the 2 months! I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor. Dan, you all got the number 41!
みーちゃん、私念のため本宅の方も見てくるね。すぐ戻るから。
Oh, yeah, whoa, Rena, don't leave me with Mion! What? A main house?
古出家の本当の家だよ。両親が亡くなって以来、ずっと放置してあるそうだけど。
あ、そうか。リカちゃんのご両親って亡くなってるんだよな。
At that point, I recalled something else. Wasn't Satoko living here
サ
too?
トコも親なしだよ。親代様のたたりってことで、両親が崖から落っこちてね。お兄さんだったサトシ君もいなくなっちゃって。
サトシって前に聞いた名前だな。
What if, chat? What if Satoko was someone who figured out and found out some really bad stuff? And then eventually, like, she told her parents and her brother, and then they all disappeared and died. And remember how Rena said Satoko used to be, like, really, like, a certain way before, like, she kind of, like, turned into what she is now? After all those events? And now what if Rika found out a bunch of things and then told her parents, and both of them got killed? I remembered. He was the only one who disappeared last year because of the curse.
それ以来、サトコはリカちゃんと一緒にこの小屋で暮らしてるんだよ。互いに身寄りのない一人ぼっち同士。助け合ってね。
本宅って言ったか？そっちで暮らした方が楽だろうに。
The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside, but two young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough
初め
life.
はそうしてたみたい。でも、両親を思い出すから辛いって言って。
Wow, bro, my right eyeball is hurting so badly. I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized an atom of
リカちゃん
this.
もサトコも大変なんだな。
呪われてるんだよ。
え？
Suddenly, Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. Oh, I turned around the ladder to face her and asked again.
お前、今、なんて言った？
呪われてるって言ったの。
Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I'd at some point been trapped on this ladder like being cornered on a dead-end street.
ミオン、お前、なんて顔してんだよ。
I intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such an uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm
王
me.
女聡子はね、お社様のたたりを一身に受けた呪われた子なの。
Mion answers with a response to something I never asked, as if replying to somebody else's
公園
question.
の展望台から転落死したのは両親だけ。あの子をみそっかす扱いしてた冷たい両親だけが死んで、あの子は一人だけ助かった。引き取り先であの子をいじめたおばは、綿流しの夜に異常者に脳みそがぐっちゃぐちゃに飛び散って頭が原形をとどめないくらいにめった打ちにされて殺された。
Okay.
いつもあの子をかばってたサトシ君もあの子の誕生日に突然消えてしまった。あの子をいじめていなかったのに消されてしまった。警察は家出したんだって決めつけたけど、サトシ君は逃げ出すような人じゃなかった。いつも一生懸命、誰の力も借りずにコツコツと一人懸命に努力する人だった。
So it doesn't sound like Mion is involved in these disappearances. I think, if anything, she's might be trying to fucking stop him. There's just another fucking party that's...
たった一人の妹のために身を粉にして頑張ってたのに消されてしまった。あの子のためにだけに生きていたのに消されてしまった。かわいそうなサトシ君、なんて報われないサトシ君、なんて恩知らずなあの子なの。
Wait, never mind. Hold up. Maybe Mion is involved. What the fuck?
あの子は呪われた子。あの子に近づけばそれが誰でも末路は同じ。たたりで死ぬか、たたりで消えるか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。
What the fuck did she ever do, bro?
リカちゃんが消えたのもきっとサトコのせいだよ。違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない
Okay, Mion was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. Jesus Christ. Aaron, take him to 22. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was. I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion rocked back and forth, and that rocking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me, the ladder, it's falling. Help me. Help! Just then, I heard the sound of many people running towards us. Very nearly said, help me outright. 4 or 5 adults led by Rena ran over with flashlights.
ケイチくん、みーちゃん、遅れてごめんね。鍵借りてきたよ。
お、助かったね。
I don't like how Mion's talking. Her tone.
どうも窓も戸締まりは完璧らしくてね。困ってた。
When I heard Mion talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt the chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Sonozaki then. The person muttering to themselves just a few seconds ago. Who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses, who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on a keyring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor.
リカちゃんの家はね、もともとは町会の防災倉庫だったの。だからシャッターの鍵を今でも村長さんの家が預かってるの。
今ではリカちゃんとサトコの指定だけど、まあもともとリカちゃんの家の敷地内だし、誰も文句は言わないけどね。
Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier un-Mion-like creepiness. Bang, bam, clatter, clatter, bang. The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Rena located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in.
リカちゃん、サトコちゃん、いるなら返事をして。
We climbed a narrow staircase that had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow, the scent of two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Satoko lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment past the kitchen was a living room taking up 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a folded-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults climbing the stairs one at a time began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves.
どう？やっぱりいない？
いない。絶対おかしい。
The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Satoko had. Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down.
信じたくないけど、君吉の村長さんが消えたのが昨日の今日。無関係とは言い切れないね。
Those faces paled at Mion's declaration. Maya and Rena's did as well.
例えば、ご近所に行ってお茶でもごちそうになって眠っちゃって、起こすに起こせなくなってるなんて可能性ももちろんあるよね。その可能性をまず潰そう。牧野さんは裏手から沢のあたりの家を回ってください。慶太郎さんはおじゃが池の方、岡村さんは。
Mion promptly gave directions to all the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation despite
私は
her
ここに
age.
残って電話で片っ端から心当たりに問い合わせてみます。じゃあ皆さん、そういうことで。
The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs below.
さすがみーちゃんだね。みーちゃんは学校だけじゃなく、ひなみ沢の委員長さんみたいだよね。
茶化さない茶化さない。ほらどいて。おじさんは電話を使うんだから。
Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Rena gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family's successor impression that Shion and Oishi-san had given me. Stop right there, Keiichi Maibara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Satoko are safe. Let's see, couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone somewhere in this room?
とはいえ、そんなのわかるはずもないよな。
If we tore the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there's nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different, and if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi. Stop thinking and start looking for something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and opened the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful though. Rena, also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I
でも
was.
レナ、冷蔵庫や流しの下の棚とかを開いても、リカちゃんは見つからないと思うぞ。
That's what you think, Keiichi. That's exactly where a murderer would put them.
れてるかなって思って。
Okay, that's...
は
As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called.
私みんなに話をしてくる。遅かれ警察も来るだろうしね。大石のやつにも事情を説明しなきゃ。
Mion began descending the stairs and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already about around 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This had gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore.
リカちゃまとサトコちゃんがいなくなったってのは本当かい？
The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down.
誰かの家にお邪魔していないか、町会の回覧区分に沿って全校をまず調べよう。本人たちがこっちの気も知らずに誰かの家ですやすやとお泊まりしてる可能性もあるわけだからね。
It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice it would be if that
こ
were
ん
the
なことは
case.
考えたくないけど、もちろん悪いことが起こった可能性もある。
Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the
我
adults.
々も手分けしよう。昨夜の村長探しで回ったところをもう一度回る。
俺たちはダム現場をよく念入りに探してみる。お前さんたちは学校のあたりを探してみてくれ。
どうしたらはよ、行こう行こ
う。みんな昨日も村長さん探しで徹夜だったからね。寝不足で辛いだろうけど、どうかよろしく。
With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting further and further from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared, so nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. So why the fuck does Mion hate Satoko, though? What's up with that? Suddenly, my vision cleared and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and knew that the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Takano-san and Tomitaka-san, then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Satoko had been sacrificed. And word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We should have found them. Mion would have told me I was a worrywart. Rena would just be glad we did. And they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms all both bent forward onto the ground and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Satoko had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was.
Keiichi-kun? Keiichi-kun? 大丈夫?
It was Rena. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as if I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back to make me feel better.
全部悪いんだ。俺のせいで。
ケイチ君が？何も悪いわけはないよ。 自分をどうか責めないでね。
I could tell Rena was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Keiichi-kun, you know why Rika-chan and Satoko disappeared, don't you? Is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency, Rena had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we'd actually confirmed her disappearance, it's only natural Rena would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation having gone this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Satoko had disappeared, but I couldn't let Rena disappear either.
ケイチ君、こんな風通しのいいところにずっといたら風邪ひいちゃう。
Rena sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine.
子供たちはね、もう解散して家で寝ろって。
Rena showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 in the morning. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long?
もう寝ないと明日の学校に差し支えるよ。大人たちだって昨べも一晩中村長さんを探したからみんなクタクタ。今夜は少し早めに解散するって。
I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night, but that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for.
大丈夫。さっきね、警察の人も来たの。今どんどん街から応援のパトカーが来てるよ。
Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Watanagashi were seen as the product of Oya Shiro-sama's curse, and that would be handled in secrecy. Rika-chan and Satoko too. Their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face like a western doll's, would fade away. Satoko's smile, her energetic fanged smile, would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity.
ケイチ君が何を自分に責めているかわからないけれど、もうやめよう。
I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Rena out of this. If she found out, she would become
頼む
involved.
レナ、放っておいてくれないか。俺きっと家に帰ったって眠れない。
If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Satoko until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do
俺
it.
のせいで消えてしまったんだ。他の探してくれてる人たちよりも先になんか眠れるものか。
I had said that to myself in deep deprecation, but I soon realized that Rena was silently trying to find the meaning in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke.
ケイチ君のせいなの？どうしてそう思うのかな？かな？
Oh shit, double kana? This can't be. Keiichi-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Rena said those things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crime to Rena. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle, spirited, always joking, always howling, but at the same time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Rena, might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time I need to bear my own cross alone.
ケイチ君がとても仲間思いだって知ってるから、自分を傷つけたくなる気持ちもよくわかるよ。だけど、レナはケイチ君のせいじゃないって知ってる。ケイチ君が悪くないって知ってるから。
知ってるって。
Shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Rena to figure it out. This is bad. Now Rena will disappear, Rena will disappear, Rena will disappear. Then Rena, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly.
ケイチ君、ひょっとしてレナも消えちゃうかもしれないって思ってるのかな。お社様のたたりで。
She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head.
だったら安心して。レナは消えたりしないよ。絶対に。
どうして消えないなんて自信を持って言えるんだよ。
I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There was no proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof after all that the sacrifice wouldn't be Rena. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion, and Rika-chan and Satoko for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind. They start by killing those we're close to, and then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing.
レナ。
Please don't disappear. Please don't, as long as I'm still here. Bars. I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me.
ほら、ケイチ君に涙なんか似合わないよ。みんなのところに行こう。婦人会の人たちがね、お味噌汁の炊き出しをしてくれてるの。飲むと温まって落ち着くよ。
Rena prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. Oh shit. We returned to the shrine grounds and found several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet.
ケイちゃん、どこ行ってたんだよ。ケイちゃんまでいなくなったのかと心配したよ。
すまん。
Mion held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite.
みーちゃん、どう？何か手がかりはあった？
Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank.
全然ない。学校が終わってから家に帰って、二人で自転車に乗ってどこかに行ったらしい。しかも、二人が自転車に乗った姿は全く目撃されていないし。
When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan and Satoko riding their bikes.
昨日の村長の時と同じ。お手上げだよ。
Mion's apathetic tone pricked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She had been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I spent the time hunched over in indecision all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mion.
ケイちゃんも辛いだろうけど今夜はこれで休もう。さっき今夜は解散しようってなったところだよ。これを飲んだらもう終わりにしよう。
終わりなのか？
あ、もちろん終わりじゃないよ。明るくなったら警察も増援を入れて徹底的に探すってさ。沖宮の方に行ってる可能性、村長の件も含めて獅子骨市全体で目撃情報がないか洗うって言ってる。それよりもケイちゃんだよ。どこに行ってたんだい？いつの間にかいなくなっちゃうから心配したんだよ。
Certainly I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to respond.
気をつけるよ。
何もなかった？怪しい人に監視されてるとか、付け狙われてるとか、そういうのはなかった？
Mion demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been, despite being in so much pain. I was frustrated that I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin, and I must bear it
何も
alone.
ないよ。でも気をつける。すまん。
Mion, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders, looking relieved.
おやおやおや。おいしい匂いが漂ってくると思ったら、これはぜひご商売に預かりたいですね。
We heard a repulsive voice of a fat man. It was Oishi-san, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetic in a way
大して
unfitting.
残ってないですよ。それでもよければ勝手にどうぞ。
Mion didn't like Oishi-san very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oishi-san in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face.
ありゃりゃ。味噌汁のお残りってちょっと塩分高めなんですよね。参ったなあ。君たちはいただきます？
He recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused.
どうですか？警察の方では何か手がかりはつかめましたか？
Rena's smile was warm enough to replace Samina's
大
miso
丈夫
soup.
ですよ、お嬢さん。ご安心、ちゃんと探してるんですから。
He didn't say a word about having found any clues. In other words, there had been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush.
それよりも、もう本当に遅い時間です。どうぞ若い皆さんはお帰りになってお休みになってください。体に触りますよ。
そうだよ。ケイちゃんもレナも今日はもう休みな。あとは税金で働いてるおっさんたちがやってくれるから。
私たちだって税金払ってるんですけどね。蕎麦屋さんが自分の作った蕎麦食ってるみたいな気分ですよ。な。
Okay. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Oichi-san was the only one laughing like an idiot.
じゃあ本当によろしくお願いしますね。
You know, Keiichi is not having it with Oishi at all.
帰ろう、ケイチくん。明日が辛くなるよ。
そうです、そうです。なんならお二人をお送りしてもいいですよ。くまちゃん、車を回してあげてください。
あ、結構です。俺たち自転車で来てるんで。
ご安心を。私たちワゴン車で来てますから、自転車も積めますよ。
We may have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just needed to ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Rena, however, nodded.
せっかくだからお世話になろうよ。私たちだけで帰るよりきっと安全だよ。
When I thought about it carefully, I realized that Rena's idea was extremely rational.
そうと決まれば、行きましょう行きましょう。
じゃあね。おやすみ。レナもケイちゃんも。
みーちゃんも早めに休んでね。おやすみ。
I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. Rika-chan and Satoko still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Rena showed the police where our bicycles were so that Oishi-san could haul them up into their truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the springs squeaking as I sat down onto the seat that would normally hurt my rear end, but at this point, it was very soft and was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep
で
on.
は、レディーファーストでお嬢さんの家から行きましょう。住所はどちらです？
Of course he wants to do that. So now he could ask me questions all alone.
ありがとうございます。私の家はですね、
Rena's voice slowly grew distant. I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep.
もしもーし。前原さん、完全に眠っちゃってますか？
When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oishi-san was giving me light slaps to the cheek. Didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately.
すみません。すっかり寝込んじゃって。
Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal. It was a can of coffee.
ぬるいですがね。甘いカフェオレなら常温でも結構飲めますよ。
あ、どうも。
I mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped and why I was offered coffee. Oishi-san, who had been in the driver's seat, had at some point moved to the back. Suddenly I had a very bad feeling about this. It reminded me of the questioning yesterday at the library. It was already too late by the time I realized I'd made a mistake. Today of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that until Oishi-san heard what he wanted to, he wouldn't be letting me go.
そんなに構えられても困ります。別に取って食おうってわけじゃないんですから。前原さん。
Oishi-san gulped down the last of his coffee, then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. That, however, only served to heighten my nervousness.
俺にまた何の用ですか？
用？いえいえ、別に。
You're going to evade the question at this point. What a deeply unreadable man.
私からは用はないんですが、前原さんから私に用があるんじゃないかと思いましてね。
別に用なんかないです。
ありゃ、本当にあるんじゃないですか？There
was only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by Oishi-san. I couldn't get away. I could only limply hang my head and maintain my silence. Oishi-san, despite my reticence, relaxed and began smoking a cigarette. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growing longer and longer to an amount of time that almost seemed infinite.
前原さんから相談したいことがきっとあったと思ってたんですけどね。
Oishi-san exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but the tobacco smoke still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did Oishi-san know? What did he know, and what did he want to hear from me? If finding out the truth made you disappear, then if I told him, would Oishi-san disappear too? I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in his case.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんでしょうね。
Oishi-san addressed me in a low tone as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening? How the hell should I know? That was what I wanted to know.
富武二郎さんと高野美代さん、お祭りの時、園崎紫音さんを含めて4人で一緒におられたのを私がこの目で拝見してますから。その富武さんと高野さん、今どうしておられるかご存知ですか？実はお亡くなりになってましてね。気の毒な死に方でした。
Oishi-san probably played that card in order to surprise me. However, I already knew and didn't display the extreme reaction he
お
expected.
や？ひょっとしてご存知でした？
Unfortunately for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes.
じゃあこっちもご存知かな。富武さんと高野さんがたたりに遭われた理由の方です。なんでもですね、入っちゃいけない禁断の建物に入ったからだって言われてるんですよ。
Storehouse for ritual implements. The forbidden shed sealing away Hinamizawa's bloodstained past. Where the mistake that started it all
村
happened.
長さんや古出里香さんもそのせいでたたりに遭われたんだという噂はご存知で？
That would mean it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did.
西宮殿って言いましたっけ？あそこの鍵を簡易なものに付け替えたから賊に入られたんだっていうケチがついてるらしいんですよ。
What? This is news to me.
一昨年くらいまでは西宮殿にはでっかい缶抜きとでっかい錠前がいくつも付けられていたらしいんですよ。ところがほら、神主夫妻がお亡くなりになられて、今は古出里香さんが切り盛りされてるでしょ。缶抜きが重くて大変だから、もっと軽い簡単な錠前に付け替えてほしいと村長さんに相談したらしいんですよ。
I didn't know anything about those big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been a simple one. It was a pretty cheap one too, and didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place you'd store something as important as ritual implements would look like.
リカさんはあの通り、 小柄錆びついて重くなった缶抜きはしんどかったんでしょうな。で、村長さんが職人を手配して簡単な南京錠で鍵ができるように付け替えたんだそうです。
それがどうしてケチがつくことになるんですか？
つまりですね、前の厳重な錠前なら賊には忍び込まれなかった。村長さんとリカさんが勝手に安っぽい鍵に変えたから賊に破られたんだ。
They couldn't have done it on purpose.
こういう話らしいんですよ。
そんな話。
そういう話がまかり通ってて、一部の村人たちが最後に忍び込んだ賊と賊に破られるような鍵に変えた村長とリカさんを罰したんだ。
Have been working together to expose the truth of the village the whole time because Rika suffered from the curse, quote unquote curse, by losing both her parents, and so did Satoko, so they were actually working together.
なんて話があったりなかったりしてるんですよ。相原さん、どう思います？
どう思うって、その一部の村人ってのもよくわからないし。
御三家ってご存知ですかな？綿流しのお祭りの開会式典で各家の代表がそれぞれ挨拶をなさってるでしょう？
祭りには途中から来たからよくは。
御三家ってのはひなみ沢の旧家の3つの家のことなんです。具体的に言うと、君吉家、園崎家、古出家の3つのことです。本当に古い家筋らしくてね。大昔から村の決め事は御三家が合議して決めるんだと言われてます。
Kimiyoshi family. Old man Kimiyoshi meaning the mayor's family. Sonozaki family was Mion's. So the Furude family is Rika-chan's family then.
園崎家が戦後に一気に勢力を拡大しましてね。例のダム闘争で反ダムの旗頭になってからは事実上ひなみ沢を牛耳るトップに躍り出ました。でもですね、古いしきたりに従い今でも重要な村の方針は御三家で合議して決めているんだそうです。だから綿流しの開会挨拶も御三家の当主がそれぞれなさるんですよ。つまり村長と園崎家の現当主のおばあ様、そして古出家の最後の一人リカさんです。
園崎家が大した家柄だという話は聞かされてたけど、リカちゃんの家もそういう旧家だったのか？
まあご存知の通り親族は全くおられませんから。古出家は事実上全く勢力を持ちませんがね。ただリカさん個人には求心力があるようで、村のお年寄りには盲信する方が多いと聞いています。
Certainly true that Rika-chan had an odd sort of charisma amongst the elderly.
で、その御三家ってのが何だって言うんですか
？Some pause for emphasis, lighting another cigarette.
ここまで説明してもまだ説明が足りませんかね。
わからないから聞いてるんです。
Oishi gave me a dry, meaningful grin and blew out another big puff of smoke. Motherfucker, Oishi, you're giving a child secondhand smoke, you motherfucker.
御三家の人間が相次いで消されてるんです。どういうわけかね。ひなみ沢の内側の古い因習か何かに基づいているんじゃないかと読んでいるんですが、それ以上のことはさっぱり。
そんなの俺にだってさっぱりです。
Is that why Mion hates Satoko? Because Satoko isn't part of one of the big three families? and she thinks that she's a curse that has basically been causing people around to disappear?
ですから。君吉家、古出家の当主が消えたんですから。次は園崎家の当主が消えるんじゃないかな、なんて思ったり思わなかったりしたりする今日この頃、いかがお過ごしでしょうか。ななんちゃって。
園崎家の当主って誰だよ。
当主は園崎本家のおばあちゃんなんですが、実質上の当主権限はもう孫娘のミヨンさんに移行していると見て間違いないでしょうね。
The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults while searching for Rika-chan sprung back to mind.
ミヨンが消える？
I hadn't even thought of that possibility. All my hair stood on end. That's insane.
嫌でしょう？
当たり前だ。そんなの許せるものか。
Bro, Oishi's gaslighting Keiichi into being like, okay, you don't want that to happen, so you better fucking help us. Clamp. Oishi-san grabbed my shoulder with both hands. Yep. Oh my god, I'm a fucking... I write the book. I write it. It is what it is. I knew it.
園崎ミヨンさんについて最近気づいたこと、何でもいいから話してください。
I was going along with him? By the time I realized it, it was too late. Oishi-san brought his face in closer, almost close enough to ram into me, waiting for my next words. I don't kiss, old man. Back up. This pressure. I can't tear my eyes away from his. That moment, I heard a beeping sound. It was from the driver's seat. He ignored it at first, but then it started to bother him, so he finally let go of me and leaned into the driver's seat.
はい感度良子。
I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could use this opening to
そう
escape.
です。はい。では戻りましょう。はい。
Did they find him? Now that I knew I'd be freed, the tension in my body dissipated all at once.
そろそろ戻らないといけないみたいです。これからがいいところだったんですが、残念ですね。
Okay, Oishi, don't say it like that. That sounds like hella creepy, bro. Oishi-san flung open the door, exited, and walked around the front to the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could
前
leave?
原さんは友達思いの今時関心な若者です。友人のことを警察に喋ると、なんだか裏切っているような気持ちになるのをよくわかっていますよ。前原さん、一晩差し上げますから、ゆっくりお休みになって前原さんのほんのちょっとの勇気が結局大勢の友人を救うことにつながるかもしれないのです。
Motherfucker, I told you everything last chapter, and what you do, you fucking just listened to my blood gurgling in my throat as I died. Did he want to say that the sacrifices wouldn't stop with Rika-chan and Satoko?
わかってると思いますが、渡流し以降、毎晩何かが起こります。これまでは毎年1回だったたたりが、今年は連日。本当に景気のいい年です。
What the fuck?
そんなの景気がいいなんて言いません。
おととい、昨日、そして今日。明日の晩も起こらないなんて保証、どこにもありませんよ。それを未然に防ぐのが私たちの仕事ですが、それには前原さんの協力が不可欠なんです。
I looked out the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me out that he knew my name and address, but I was too sleepy right now. I was too sleepy to care.
今日はもう眠いでしょう。もう3時になりますからね。どうぞごゆっくりお休みになってください。
はい。では、失礼します。
When I was about to get out of the truck as if to deliver a parting blow, Oishi-san said in a raised voice.
私、前原さんが話す気になってくれるまで、毎日来ちゃいますからね。
What the fuck? Creep? Leave me alone!
取り調べして自白を強要っての、もう時代じゃないと思いますんで。
Couldn't say anything in response, but me plus slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After lightly beeping the horn, Oishi-san's truck drove off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Then walked over to the staircase. That was where I lost consciousness. Damn. Okay, okay. Holy! Request denied. What is that? I wonder. Which we will find out Sunday, because I'm not going to be here at home streaming tomorrow. We'll be IRL streaming tomorrow. Yes, sir. Unfortunately, chat, we do have to take a day off tomorrow from our normal Higurashi rotation. So, yup. Hey, listen, I can't do anything about it. IRL stream Higurashi. What the fuck are you saying? How do I IRL stream Higurashi? All right, well, chat, tomorrow we got the IRL event for Wuthering Waves. I'll be streaming all day, or most of the duration of the event. I believe the event's gonna be a couple hours. I will let you guys know roundabout when I go live. It should be about when I go live normally, so roundabout there. Worst case, it'll be like maybe an hour later than normal. We'll see, but I'll see y'all tomorrow, chat. Thank you guys for hanging out as always. Good night, everybody. And I'll send y'all over to I'll send y'all over to Fan. Just playing League of Legends. Wow. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. No? Oh, okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Good night. Raid Bob Ross. Yeah, okay, bro.